Good morning, YouTube. Hey guys, quick little topic today for this morning actually. So today we're talking about maintenance stuff and most importantly, oil leaks. Potential oil leaks, maintenance things that you'll need to take care of that will most likely kind of rear up if they haven't already. These are some common things in order. So I got 5 things. So quickly, number 1, the oil filter housing gasket. Now the oil filter housing gasket holds the oil filter. Of course, there is the oil passage that runs through there. And then also there's a coolant passage that runs literally right next to this passage. The gasket is prone to leaking, just like with any kind of rubber gasket, it's prone to leaking. But it is, especially if it starts leaking internally, because there are so many different like holes, sections and all that kind of stuff, then you can have the possibility of having your oil mixed with your coolant, and we all know that's not good. You want to be able to spot that. Now if you start seeing oil in your coolant reservoir, that's your culprit and you need to get that fixed as soon as possible. It'll start leaking down for the front of the engine and it could possibly get on the belt, and that's also not good. So in tandem with that, you have the oil cooler housing gaskets. If your car is equipped with a sport model, M Sport, that's what mostly those came on. It's actually attached to the oil filter housing, and that is another gasket that can also leak down the front of the engine and what. Moving into number 3, valve cover gasket. Now the valve cover gasket sometimes comes up 80,000, 90,000, 100,000 miles, and a lot of these gaskets come up and around those upper mileage ranges. So if you have a car that's in that range and you haven't had that done, or the car or the maintenance record says that it's never been done, just keep an eye on it and replace as necessary. Now those 3 things are DIY. I did the DIY, actually it was before I started the channel, but I did the DIY on the oil filter housing and the oil cooler housing. So if you're looking to do that, let me know. I started writing out my own DIY for that, and I'm pretty well versed as far as a lot of the shortcuts that you can do to get some of the problem areas that are hard to like get a wrench in and stuff like that. So there's a few tricks of the trade, I guess I would say. So we got that, but back to the valve cover gasket. Valve cover gasket, it's another DIY that you can do. I haven't done mine yet, so I have 145,000 miles on my 335i. The dealer said I had a slight leak, but that was 2 years ago, and I have yet to find that slight leak. So it must have been something so small that they just wanted to let me know of, kind of thing. 4 is the oil pan gasket. Now the oil pan gasket is usually prone to leaking past 100,000 miles. I do have a slight leak on that, which that is identified. I do have a little bit. It's been like that for a little while now. It hasn't increased. It just I just have a little bit of oil that that doesn't puddle up at all, honestly. So nothing's on my garage floor, nothing's like that, but there is a slight leak. So I'm keeping an eye on that, and I'll take it from there. It is an expensive procedure, mostly because you have to drop the whole subframe underneath the car. You have to support the engine with the support brace, because you're removing the subframe, and then you have to then, of course, do all the mini bolts and then pull the oil pan off and then replace the gasket, and then all reverse order. So it's a 10-11 hour booked job, so you're going to be easily looking at $1,200 at the dealership. Indie shop maybe $500-600, kind of like half. Usually it's half that price for a side shop to do it. So you got that. But DIY, as far as with that, I mean, people do all kinds of crazy stuff with jack stands, so you can try whatever you want to try if you have, high enough jacks that can get up, and then of course support it with jack stands. But it could take a while if you do it with that. But hey, more power to you if you can do it. And then the last one, real quickly, is the rear main seal. The rear main seal is, you got the transmission, you got the seal like right here. Sometimes it's a misdiagnosis with the oil pan gasket, just because the oil will leak from the rear main seal and kind of come down right where the oil pan is. So sometimes people think that, oh, my oil pan gasket's leaking, and sometimes it's the rear main seal. So you have to take the transmission off, and it's right up in there. It is yet another expensive procedure, of course. You gotta take the transmission off. These are some common gasket oil leak problems on the N54, and just like always, use a flashlight, check out your car, because sometimes you want to be able to spot things and monitor them if they are leaking. Oil filter housing gasket and oil cooler housing gasket, those are really important. If those start leaking a little bit, Like I said, it runs with coolant and stuff like that. You don't want that mix, so that's definitely, if you see it a little bit, just replace it. Don't hold off on that. It can maybe sling off your belt. Your belt could be sucked up in your crank seal at the front, and that's also not good as well. So definitely that being my number one. Number two, if it's starting doing on your car, get it fixed right now, because you don't want those. You can have multiple issues off of that one problem versus some of the other things. It's kind of like, yeah, you could have some seepage. Those just are not, they just don't leak as often per se. They'll eventually start leaking. That concludes the video today. Like always, please subscribe, like, and comment, and check you out next time. Take care.